we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going just fine.
Well, glad to hear it.
Another
I heard you
beautiful
got
day.
a truckload of goodies.
Oh my God. Yes. We bought some doll molds because Scott wants to make in the kiln, he wants to make ceramic or porcelain horror dolls. I know, big surprise, as much as the man loves Halloween.
Oh my God, you guys.
It turned out to be so much more than we thought it was, and it's a little lot overwhelming, but we have molds, man.
Yeah. That is exciting and terrifying. If you all haven't seen the pictures of some of the horror dolls Scott has already made, that go up at Halloween time, that are like in cages hanging from the trees. He's, oh my God, terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But he is going to have a heyday with all of this.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, he's super excited, but we went to pick them up yesterday in a truck and trailer. That's how many things we anticipated we were taking, and took half and have to go back tomorrow. So, oh dear God. But
that is, wow. That is so much stuff.
My hope is that he can find the ones that he really likes and wants here in the course of like the next year, and then just sell off the rest, because it's an insane amount. But also, the lady was a doll maker, of course, and so wigs, the doll wigs. There are thousands of doll wigs. And if you guys think you're not going to see every one of those tried on my pigs, you are wrong.
Dude, I want an entire TikTok channel.
Right, pigs and wigs. I think so.
I cannot
It needs to happen.
Wait. I'm dying for the wigs. I'm also dying for the dolls. Not that I want any. They're terrifying as hell.
Yeah.
But Scott is a brilliant artist and painter and airbrush painter. The stuff that he has painted already, you guys should see. He doesn't show his stuff off nearly enough, but the headphone stands that he made for the nephews for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Were fucking incredible. And they were just blank heads of various kinds
3D
that he 3D printed and then painted them. And they are so freaking cool.
They're so good. He's so much better than he gives himself credit for.
He is. He really is.
Yeah.
He made Slimer from Ghostbusters, you guys. It was the best Slimer I have ever seen. It was
so good.
So good. I can see he is going to do some crazy cool stuff with this. I'm excited about it.
Emphasis on the crazy.
See what he comes up with. Yeah, he loves all that wild horror stuff.
He does.
And man, more power to him. People are going to freak out when they see what he makes.
One thing I noticed when we were loading molds yesterday is that there are clown molds. So,
no.
Oh,
you guys, he's going to be making haunted clown dolls.
I told him he has to get his own Etsy.
Well, he does.
He needs a horror Etsy, not mine.
He does. Well, also, I mean, Annabelle the haunted doll.
Yeah.
Is traveling around the country.
She's on parade
right now.
Yeah.
From the crazy Amityville horror people. And holy shit, now is a good time. If you're into that kind of thing.
Lean into the haunted dolls.
Making some haunted dolls. I've seen a few real haunted dolls in my days working in a metaphysical store where we used to actually clear items for people. Clear their houses and go on site in person.
Oh, we've seen some shit.
Seen too much.
Yeah.
I've seen too much. Right. Holy shit. Right, Christine? No clowns. Right? Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The thing is, he is so clever and creative that the ones he makes are going to be so cool.
Mm-hmm. I
I'm just
cannot
excited. I
wait.
think it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach Baggins has so many. Shannon, okay, I don't know who that is, but
He's oh, is he Ghost Adventures? I think he's Ghost Adventures. Or one of
okay.
those. He's one of the ghost shows. Yeah.
Cherish says her house is clear. Mine too. Haunted dolls not allowed in this house. No, thank you. But I do think it's super cool, and I'm excited for Scott. When he's got some, don't you worry, we'll be showing them to you because some of you
Mm-hmm.
are probably into that kind of thing.
Probably. Yeah.
Which, if you are, more power to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm excited. I think it's
Yeah.
cool.
Me too.
Alrighty. Well, we have a lot of true crime for you, and
Mm-hmm.
we thought that true crime was going to be Lori Vallow trial, but no, she is currently recuperating, as you may want to call it. I don't know if you all saw the graphic that I made for yesterday's show. I called it Lori Vallow is a lying liar from Liarsville,
Mm-hmm.
and I put an ice pack on her head.
Yeah. I
Um,
really like the ice pack on your head. Or on her head. Not your head. Her head. Yeah.
Not my head. I'm fine. I'm not faking sick because I'm not a quadruple murderer.
Yeah.
Just not. So anyway, we didn't have that, so we've got a bunch of other stuff to talk about because the crime world never sleeps
No.
ever.
No.
There's always some bullshit somewhere.
Mm.
So, Katie, I know you are going to start us off with crime news update.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is a very sad crime news update.
Mhm.
Coming out of Washington State, there have been 3 little girls missing. 9-year-old
Mm,
Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia. And this happened on Friday night. So Friday, they went on a visitation with their dad,
okay.
and it was supposed to be for 3 hours. And then later in the evening, their mom put this on Facebook. Or the next morning. She said, last night at 8 p.m., Travis was supposed to drop the girls back off with me and never showed. The cops have him going north out of Wenatchee at 5:41. If you could please all keep an eye out for him. His phone is off, and every hotel in Wenatchee and East Wenatchee have been checked. These photos are recents of the girls. For those of you who know him, any ideas you may have, please message me. And she'd added a photo of his pickup, which resulted in a huge community-wide search
Mhm.
for these children up in the mountains around their community. And they searched for days and days. There was no
Mhm.
Amber Alert. There was an endangered persons alert. There was no Amber Alert. The police
Why?
department says they put in for an Amber Alert and that the Washington State Police said that it did not meet their criteria.
For
Why?
God's sake, this
Hmm.
Amber Alert criteria has got to fucking stop.
Yes.
You
And why
put
is
out everything
that?
you fucking know. That's what.
Right.
God.
Why is it? Because they weren't believed to be in danger. Um, Dad was not deemed to be a dangerous person. Mom didn't think that they were in danger. She thought maybe he decided to take them on a last minute camping trip and didn't tell her, or that he perhaps just broke down up in the woods or something and that they needed help. She initially didn't, it sounds like, either think that they were in danger. But though the police did put in for an Amber Alert, they weren't approved for it.
I mean, if any of those things were true, there would have been some communication of some sort.
Right.
Like,
You'd think so. You'd
God,
think
that
so. I
sucks.
think she was thinking maybe they ended up like up out of service, and just couldn't get to her. But of course, she was nervous and worried can you imagine by the next morning your kid's not showing back up?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
Terrifying.
so, huge community hunt looking for these children, getting more and more nervous. And then last night, this was posted that police shuts down Icicle Road and that the father of missing girls are sought on warrant. And then, of course, what we learned this morning is that the girls were found deceased. Uh,
Mm.
Dad, Travis is his name, Travis Decker. This is what he looks like. He has yet to be found. His pickup, they found his pickup in a campground, and not too far from it, unfortunately, they found the bodies of all three girls. It is what we understand at this point.
My God. How are they saying how they died?
No, they're not saying yet how they died. A few things about Dad. He is former military. The police say he possesses extensive training. They said that they do not know if he's armed or not. Apparently, he was an active member in
Of
2021,
course
and
he is.
yep, and then he transferred to the National Guard in 2021. So active member until 2021, but was still in the National Guard. But the National Guard says he's been pending a disciplinary discharge because he hasn't been showing up to monthly drills for the last year. We know that the Deckers filed for divorce in 2022, and the divorce was finalized in 2023. We know that mom has said that this was unlike him, like they've not had any problems as far as custody or the girls or visitation. The news is reporting that he was a homeless man. What his cousin is saying is that he, I guess, maybe could be considered homeless, but essentially he had given up his apartment because it was too expensive to be there with his dog. And so he'd been living in hotels. So he wasn't housed, but he wasn't necessarily unhoused either. He had been just living in hotels. That's
Not
why in
super safe
mom's
for
not
sure.
stable for the girls. No, and he didn't
Mhm.
have, it doesn't look like he had overnight visitation. He had like a few hours here and there. So there's a lot we don't know. Uh, but of course, there is an all out manhunt hunt still now for Travis Decker. He's wanted for first degree murder times three and kidnapping times three and some other things.
God.
So that's what we know so far. We'll keep a close eye on this. No idea if they will find Travis Decker alive or not, uh, or what's going on. But
Or
he
what in the hell would have.
possessed him to do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these poor children, and I just can't even imagine their poor mom. I can't even fathom. But this was court ordered visitation. She was doing what she's supposed to do, you know?
Right. Right. I mean, what choice did she have?
She didn't. And also, it sounds like he had not been scary in the past, that this wasn't something that she would have anticipated. Uh, but that's what we're gathering from what we're reading. And again, that could change because this is brand new. So all of our love goes out to her family, his
Yes.
family too. I'm sure this is a horrible shock for absolutely everyone that knows them.
Yeah.
I visited a page on Facebook today that a lot of the kids' teachers and friends, parents were commenting
Mm,
about how frightening and horrifying this is, and
yeah.
how devastating it is to their little community. And it's a terrible shock. It's a terrible thing. So we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully, Travis Decker is located and located soon.
Yeah. Gosh, I sure hope so.
Yeah, for sure.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to kick it back over to you for our main case.
Okay. So, another case that has some potential connection to John Paul Miller has come forth. John Paul Miller, of course, was the husband of Micah Miller, who took her own life.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of speculation, and there's also been a lot of investigation into John Paul Miller. He has not been charged with a crime. I want to make that very clear. And in this case, this is not about charging him with a crime either, but it is.
Why is there so much bullshit around this man? Yeah.
Right. It is further explaining the history here of how people have been potentially damaged by this man who calls himself a pastor, which,
Mm-hmm.
as we are learning, is really just code for disgusting human. I hate to say it, I'm not saying that all pastors are terrible, but there are a lot who are hiding behind that religious moniker that are scary, scary people. Yes, a pattern of abuse, Shannon. That's a great way to put it.
Mhm.
So, this man is Chris Skinner. Chris Skinner was a quadriplegic. He was in a car accident with a drunk driver when he was 20 years old and lost all use of his body from the neck down. Now, why is Chris Skinner connected in any way to John Paul Miller? Well, Chris Skinner and his wife Susie were actually parishioners of John Paul Miller's church. They attended his church, and so he knew John Paul Miller. Now, Chris Skinner died on September 6th of 2021. That was deemed an accident when he fell into a neighborhood swimming pool strapped to his wheelchair and drowned.
Wow.
In the investigation around Micah Miller's death and John Paul Miller, it has come out that John Paul Miller was having an affair with Chris Skinner's wife, Susie. Now, Susie Skinner has actually publicly acknowledged that affair, just so that you know. This was, there had been, paparazzi type photos and things that came out indicating that neighbors, people in that church community were aware of this. She has actually come forward now and said, yes, in fact, they were having an affair. What is being reported is that 2 weeks before Chris Skinner passed away, that he confronted John Paul Miller about the affair with his wife. He and Susie were married for 17 years.
Wow.
So at the time, it was ruled an accidental drowning and kind of went by the wayside. His family, particularly his sister Tamara, has always said that there was more to this than was known. And that there were questions, she had questions about how and why Chris really died. Yes, and John Paul Miller just married Susie Skinner, like over the weekend.
Over the weekend, yeah.
So the police actually reopened Chris Skinner's death investigation in January of this year because of the connection to J.P. Miller. Because if you remember, the FBI is actually investigating him. From, there was so much outcry from Micah Miller's death, which has been confirmed to be a suicide. But then there's a lot of history of violence and stalking and all kinds of abuse in that relationship. And then what we come to find out is that, boy, she wasn't the only one.
Right. There was also that incident not too long ago in the church parking lot where he attacked a lady that was filming him. Do you remember that?
Yes, he did. Yeah. There are several other things I'm going to tell you about too. So they did reopen Chris Skinner's death investigation because there just are concerns. Like the connections here are scary. There are indications that Chris Skinner's death may in fact have been a suicide, not an accident. There is footage, which I'm not going to show you. It's out there in the world, but I don't think that we need to watch people die on the internet, where there's like a motion censored camera by this pool where he is in his power chair. He kind of goes around the pool and then he stops and then he takes off quickly and goes into the pool. And so it appears that he may have in fact actually taken his own life, rode himself directly into the pool in his wheelchair. He wasn't found for like 40 minutes. And then by the time firefighters got there, it had been an hour that he'd been at the bottom of the pool. So there was nothing that they could do at this point. But let me tell you a few other things because there's a lot coming out now. about John Paul Miller and some of the things that have gone with him and some things that also went on with his father, who was also a pastor. Let's see. So J.P. Miller's first wife, Allison Williams, she filed for full custody of their children last June.
Mm-hmm.
And she revealed a bunch of things that we didn't know. One of them is that her husband was having an affair with Susie. And the way that they knew this is so gross. John Paul Miller was using his son to facilitate their liaisons because they played soccer, because he played soccer with Susie's son.
Oh my God.
Allison Williams says that her kids absolutely knew about the affair because they were actually facilitating these two people meeting up and being included in that. Apparently, their friends were gossiping about this situation and that she was extremely embarrassed because it was just a thing that everyone knew. So she divorced J.P. Miller in 2015 because he was having an affair with Micah Miller. He was also still having an affair with Susie, it is believed, before Micah died. Now, some of this has been proven, some of it is conjecture. It's not known for sure if they were still having an affair, but it is believed that they were. Also, one of the very first people that Susie Skinner called when her husband drowned is John Paul Miller.
Of course.
The other thing to know is that Susie and Chris had been going to Miller's church, and Chris stopped going and said and made some statements to people in his life about how much he hated John Paul Miller and how he didn't want anything to do with him. Guess who officiated Chris Skinner's funeral?
Oh.
John Paul Miller.
Wow.
Yeah. So lots of questions here about what's really gone on. And the reason for this is because there's a real pattern of grooming women and of abuse and of hideous behavior that may actually be pushing people to take their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Susie's husband's dead. J.P. Miller's wife is dead.
Yeah. Wow.
Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow-esque, anyone? You know, they got rid of their partners to be together, which honestly, if I were Susie Skinner, you should be terrified to be with this man. But maybe she's just as disgusting as he is, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Chris's emotional health had not been great before he died. And obviously, you know, looking back on it now, he knew about the affair and, you know. So they did reinvestigate his death, and they haven't really changed the final outcome, although there is some question around whether the manner of death could be changed to suicide rather than accident. So there's some looking at that. Susie.
Oh, just thinking out loud. Why would anyone go to this church?
Why? Right. Why? Why would anyone go to this church?
Yeah.
Why would anyone want anything to do with this man? Susie Skinner had reported to the police that the day that her husband died, that he wasn't suicidal and that she hadn't seen anything unusual that morning. Although I don't think that it was reported at the time that he had confronted J.P. Miller and that they knew that he knew about the affair. Basically, there wasn't much of a death investigation done. They just believed the people who were on scene. They didn't even talk to Chris Skinner's family, his parents, his sister, who lived in the town where he died. And they just kind of took the wife's word and went on.
Yeah.
But now, you know, police are looking back like, holy shit, we need to make sure that there isn't more to any of the terrible events that have taken place connected to that person.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be at the pool that day to meet someone for a game of chess.
Yeah.
He was there with his dog. There is some footage of him trying to get his head above water a few times after he went in. Couldn't, obviously, strapped to a very heavy wheelchair and couldn't move his body. So extremely sad.
Extremely sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. People
So,
just get divorced. Why?
right.
Why?
Just get divorced.
Even if nothing actually happened to Chris Skinner, why? Why the affair? Why the
Right.
cruelty? Why any of this?
Right. And can you imagine what that must feel like for someone who's a quadriplegic who probably
Yeah.
feels insecure in
Yeah.
their relationship because
Mhm.
he was a motivational speaker. He did what he could do.
Yeah.
He was a veteran,
Mhm.
obviously. Now all of this,
Yeah.
I would imagine it would have a huge hit. It would have a huge hit to anybody's
Mhm.
mental health to find that their wife was having an affair. But I would think if you were a quadriplegic, it would be worse.
Sure. For sure. Wow.
So the other things that have happened recently, of course, he attacked a woman who was filming him in the parking lot of his church. He also has been accused in a lawsuit of raping a 15-year-old girl in 1998
Wow.
while she was working at his father's church in Myrtle Beach when he was 19 years old. This is a civil suit. This is an allegation. We don't know if it's true or not. The accuser, who is a Jane Doe, claimed that JP Miller actually sexually assaulted her again in 2023, grabbing her genitals in public without her consent. And
Wow.
she hadn't really had a lot of memory or understanding of what had happened to her when she was 15 until it happened in 2023 and
Mhm.
kind of brought it all back. And that's where she decided to sue him. He has countersued for defamation and all that jazz. The problem is that the more his name has been out there in the world, the more people are coming forward because
Mhm.
there is a second woman who has also sued him and his father. John Paul Miller's father's name is Reginald Miller, and he was a pastor in Myrtle Beach. And this second Jane Doe has sued them both for sexual abuse between 1999 and 2001, starting when she was 14.
Wow.
And I think that's what's important about this story is there is such a pattern of abuse swirling around this person.
Mhm.
The second victim, some of the statements in her lawsuit, they use their positions of power to manipulate and exploit vulnerable victims while concealing their actions from the public. She claimed they ran their church in a calculated plan to groom victims while simultaneously gaining the community's trust and financial support.
Of course.
It
There
is
it
a plan
is.
that works. We've certainly seen that,
Mhm.
haven't we?
Yep.
The lawsuit also details sexual and psychological abuse she claimed to have suffered at Miller's Church and at Cathedral Hall Academy, a school he ran at the time.
Mhm.
Uh, there are several other women who are considering filing similar civil claims of sexual abuse against JP Miller. It appears that there are more lawsuits coming.
Wow.
We know that Micah had contacted the police several times in the months prior to her suicide.
Mhm.
She made multiple allegations against him, including that he groomed her when she was a teenager. Remember, she was
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
young when she married him.
Yeah.
of course, he is denying all of this and saying that Micah was mentally ill and blah, blah, blah. We do know that the FBI is investigating the circumstances of her death, and we know that they raided John Paul Miller's home in November. We don't know why. Nothing's ever come from that we know of. So it's just painfully sad. But what it appears we're beginning to see is a pattern of abuse that has lasted for decades at this point. Hey, Rhonda, glad you caught us live. So anyway, that's what's going on. It doesn't appear right now that really anything is going to change in the determination of Chris Skinner's death, although it's possible. They've still left manner of death open, and so the reinvestigation is done, but they're really at this point determining whether or not they're going to call his death a suicide, or right now it's deemed an accident. But there are many more stories coming, unfortunately, because the more they look into J.P. Miller, the more people come forward.
Yeah. Wow.
It's hideous. And the thing that's gross is that he closed his church, and then he just reopened a new church under a new name. And so he is still functioning out there as a pastor and may still be grooming young girls, still has access to people.
Quit going to this fool's church and quit giving him money.
Right. Stay away from this man and his church. Get a clue. We know he hasn't been charged with anything criminally.
No.
But there is plenty out there to indicate that he's not a safe person. You can go to somebody else's church.
Well, I mean, based strictly on his complete disregard for his own, his commandments, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me pretty much covers it. He's not following his own words. Quit going there. Quit
Really
listening to
isn't.
him. Yeah.
Exactly. So just wanted to update you on that. We will continue to keep an eye on this, because there's still an active investigation into him. And there are more lawsuits coming. And I think it's important for people to know and be familiar with this person's name. Stay away from this guy.
Yeah.
It really is that easy. Don't go to his church, for God's sake.
And don't take your kids there.
And honestly, all the love to Chris Skinner's sister Tamara and their parents and their entire family. He was a huge loss for them, and he certainly didn't deserve whatever went down here.
No. Yeah.
And with that, Katie, I think you're going to wrap us up with some WTF news.
Yes. We're going to go out on a high note today, actually. Talking about a 13-year-old girl in Carmel, California, who was attacked. She was walking home from school. A man was hiding between two cars and dove out and attempted to attack her. Jeez. And this little hero said, "No, bitch, not today." And she kicked his ass.
Good for her.
She is a Jiu Jitsu student, and she just went straight into gear with what she's learned. According to the police, she punched him, she got him in a headlock, kneed him a couple of times, spun him around, threw him on the ground. She stepped on his foot during all of this, and when she threw him to the ground, she broke his ankle.
Good for her. There's a way to disable an attacker.
Sucks to suck. However, he managed to limp away. So police are still searching for this man. So in the Carmel, California area, if you know someone who kind of magically came up with a broken ankle, that's also a big damn creep, I don't know, you might consider maybe it is this guy.
Yeah.
They said he
Probably
is.
telling you he was mugged by a group of men.
I'm
Probably mugged by a
sure.
group of men. They were probably black men. That's probably what he's going to
Oh,
say. Let's just
probably.
get real.
I'm sure
That a
that's
group of
true.
black
Yeah.
men mugged him instead of a kick-ass little girl.
Who just did her work. He's believed to be around 6 feet tall, muscular, and now has an injury to his left foot. Yes.
Good for her.
Yep.
I love it. Kick
Apparently in
his
Jiu
ass.
Jitsu, you're trained to fight as though you are going to protect yourself on the street. And that is what she did.
What a great thing to put young girls into if they're interested.
Yeah.
To
I was
just
going to
have
say
those
that too.
skills.
Yeah. It's Jiu Jitsu. It's for girls. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right? What a baddie. So I hope, and I'm sure that lots of people have told her now what a badass she is, but we're here to
Yeah.
pile on the praise. Good work. Way to go. Don't ever go down without a fight. It's all you got. It's all you got. But then the thought of
Scream your bloody guts out.
what was going to happen to that child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Well, good for her.
But luckily, she doesn't have to worry about that. Neither does her mama. Though
And I
I'm sure
hope
she
that
will.
ankle hurts for the rest of his fucking life.
Oh, me too. I
You
hope
know,
it.
ankles don't heal very well.
No, and he's
You
not,
pick up an ankle, it's kind of a lifelong thing.
seems like he's likely not getting medical care at this point because he doesn't want to get in trouble. So which means it's not going to heal right. And yeah, you're super screwed. Just
Couldn't happen to a more deserving fellow.
right. Now I do have a daily double because I did have a story today that it's not as true crimey enough as I wanted it to be to really bring it,
Mm,
but I still think we have to talk about it. This happened in the Adirondacks recently.
okay.
Three friends were camping and took off on a hike. And they were like, you know what goes really well with a hike? Magic mushrooms. So
What could
they
go wrong?
they imbibed. They went on the hike. They got separated on the hike. One of the friends fell behind, and somehow the two friends in the front got it through their mushed up brains that he was dead and that they were lost.
Oh no.
So they called for help and told authorities, "Our friend is dead and we're lost." So they found them. Luckily for them, the friend also had called authorities and said that he was lost. And they managed to get them all happily reunited at the campsite after, I think, of some medical care. But yeah. So moral of the story, I guess, probably shrooms and hiking are probably not. Probably not.
You're kind of supposed to have a sober companion if you do mushrooms
Yeah,
because these are the kinds of things that happen if you don't. They probably thought a giant purple dragon ate their friend.
probably. Yeah, yeah. I can
Can
only
you imagine
imagine.
being the friend?
Also, here's what I don't get. If they were able to call for help and he was able to call for help, why didn't they call each other?
Right. Because a giant purple dragon ate their friend.
Hmm. Someday, I really hope that somebody does a TikTok on this who is one of them, because I really need to hear this story from their mouths. Like, what was going through their head? What did
Right.
they think happened?
Why did they think he was dead?
Why'd
I'm
they go
dying
straight
to
to
know.
dead? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dumb, dumb, dumb.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe don't do that. But I'm glad all is well and that everyone's not even dead. Yeah.
Me too. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Joelle said, I read a story about a family that got lost in a kiddie corn maze at a pumpkin patch. They called 911 and everything.
Hey, we're in here and we can't get out.
Oh my God. And this was a mushroom free event.
Right.
That is so funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would love an
here for
update
it.
on that story. Would die
Right.
to know why they thought he was dead.
We gotta
'Cause
watch
it's gonna
for
be
that.
something so stupid,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were obviously kind of, hallucinating and well, who knows? Who knows? Yep.
Could have been literally anything.
So if anyone ever sees anything from them, you have to send it to me because I'm dying to know.
Please. Gotta
Mm-hmm.
know. We gotta know. That is so damn funny.
Mm-hmm.
They are never gonna live that down either.
Oh, no. Mm-mm. No.
Hey, by the way, I'm not dead. They're
Yeah.
gonna get a lot of that. Like, hey, don't call the cops. I'm not dead. I'm
I'm
good.
just running to the bathroom. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's right.
Shannon says, I haven't done shrooms in 27 years, and that was the worst trip and last I ever had. Oh no.
Oh, no.
Not cool. Not cool.
No. And you weren't even on a hike, I bet. Yeah.
I bet you weren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christy says, Children of the Corn, next on live police TV. Can you imagine being in a corn maze and getting lost and calling the cops?
Why
I mean,
did
you could just start yelling.
yell for help?
Hey,
Yeah.
we're stuck. Someone come get us. I don't know. There's got to have been other people there. The police are like, are you fucking kidding me right now? We have to come
They
find
show
these
up
people
there and they're
in the
like, we
corn
gotta.
maze? I mean, I watch a lot of crime TV. And so, there are a lot of shows that eventually have some kind of murder that happens in one of those corn mazes where the scarecrow is actually a real dead guy or something. I can get calling 911 for that, but just for being lost in the corn maze. Oh, that is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, Joelle, please do.
Yeah.
Joelle's going to post that for us on our Discord because we would like to see it. That's pretty fantastic.
We need to know. So, of course, the big question of the hour is, will she or won't she?
Right? Is Lori going to be in court tomorrow? Are we going to actually get to see this trial? Or is she just going to pass away into her portal?
Hard to know.
Anytime I think of the portal, all I can think of is how Sirius Black dies in the Harry Potter film, where he just sort of falls into the portal. Remember that? Maybe that's how she'll go too. But I didn't think transplanted beings could get sick, so I really do. I've got questions.
I mean, is this some kind of like a god flu? Does she just have the consumption? I mean, what's going on, Lori? What is?
Yeah.
And sorry about the explosive diarrhea. I hope you get better and come back to court soon.
Yeah. I just can't imagine it's anything intestinal. I don't think that the jail would have transported her in a million years.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't want to get within 10 fucking feet of her if she's got the stomach flu. Bethy says, I tried shrooms once when the Evil Dead movie came out. I couldn't stop laughing. I have as well tried shrooms once, and that's what I laughed until I was so tired and my head hurt so bad that I had to take a nap. That's all that happened. I could not stop laughing till like my body was like, for God's sake, please stop. This is painful laughing. I couldn't stop.
Death by laughing. That's bad. Yeah.
Christina's betting on no.
She won't be there. Okay.
She won't be there. Shannon thinks she's showing up with an oxygen tank. Picking a Nick Rossi right there.
That could be it. EH also said, as a teenager, I forgot where I parked my car at the shore and finally had to go to the police and tell them that I'm lost and out past curfew, and they drove her around until she spotted her car. Oh, man.
Oh, that's so embarrassing and would so happen to me. I have no aptitude for remembering where my car is in a parking lot ever.
Mm-hmm.
And normally my wife is very good about it. But recently we went to our niece's college graduation, and we left. And then we had to walk past everyone hanging our heads in shame because we had been wandering around the wrong fucking parking lot looking for our car. So I can see how that can
happen. That's awesome.
Oh, Paula says maybe that's why she feels so sick. She's realized God withdrew her, hang on, the chat jumped. Withdrew her translated being status.
It seems like it could happen.
Access revoked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We did see that, Rosanna. We mentioned it yesterday, and I'm sure when there's more information, we'll give more of an update that Elisa Petrov did turn herself in and that she is safe. So glad. God. I honestly didn't think they were going to find that young girl alive.
I was getting
after
real nervous
they've now charged 3 men with talking to her. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Rhonda says, since Lori is segregated, can they pay attention to if she barfs? I mean, I'm sure they can.
Mm-hmm.
Pregnant. Oh, and maybe she's pregnant via the portal. Oh, for God's sakes. Boy,
Mm.
let's hope not, because that would be an ill-fated child.
No
Those
child
were
deserves
not.
this. Yeah.
No,
No. Would just
no
be a
child
spirit
deserves
baby that
that.
would never come. Yeah.
Yeah, holy
Kind of
cow.
like Chad. Just kidding. That was a terrible joke.
Joelle says, I'm always getting lost. My mom said she'd send me out for a bag of dog food and they'd never see me again. I love that. That's really good. Well, the thing that the judge made very clear to her is that she can't waive her own appearance at court unless she's there, because she's her own attorney. There's no attorney to do that for her. And so what I was hearing is,
Mm-hmm.
come hell or high water, that bitch is going to be in court tomorrow.
He will drag her out of bed again, don't you know, and
And
into court.
drag her into court. Yeah,
And
okay.
even though she did invite him to come see her at her cell, he said, pass. Yeah.
Could you believe she said that? Like, well, you
Mm-hmm.
could come. Yeah. Look, lady, you are a hideous fucking
Mm-hmm.
murderous bitch.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares if you're sick. Absolutely no one. Also, you're not fucking sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Joelle
Right.
said, I hope she's really sick and feels awful. Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah.
That's fine too. It just, I didn't believe it. She sat there trying not to throw up that whole time.
Mm-hmm.
If you were truly puking, I don't care where you are. If it's coming up, it's coming up. If you've
Mm-hmm.
got the flu and you can't keep yourself from puking in court or anywhere else. It happened to me in a movie theater a while back. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I know.
Oh
You
no.
can't you can't hold it down forever.
No.
You just can't.
No.
Ask the hallway at the Edwards Theater. I'm sorry,
Oh
I
dear.
did my best.
Oh dear.
They didn't have any trash cans in the hallway. I got up, I started running, and I thought I'm going to get to one of those big old trash cans,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't one there.
Oh
It
yikes.
was awful and embarrassing. But,
Yeah.
I mean, if she was really that sick, she would have puked in court. She just would have.
Probably. I mean, she was there a while.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings. If indeed there's court, then we will carry on with our schedule that we were, you know, gonna carry on with yesterday. If
Yeah.
not, then tomorrow night we'll be back at 6 for case updates.
Yeah, we really don't know. Tomorrow is just kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
There's going to be some kind of court. He is not going to put up with this shit
Yeah.
anymore. He's so sick of it. And he's now given her, supposedly she was sick Friday and now not till court on Wednesday. I mean, by day 5 of an illness, unless you need, like major
Hmm.
medical intervention, you're going to be well enough to be in court.
I would think so. Yeah.
Right? If she was puking, they would have at least given her a barf bag. There didn't appear to be one, and that she was holding a mask sort of in front of her face, but she wasn't actually wearing it.
Yeah.
So, no. Right? I will bet that they took her back to the jail after yesterday and made sure that she was seen
Oh,
by their
I'm
medical
sure they
staff. Because I'll
did.
bet the judge
Yeah.
is like, God damn it, we got to know
Hmm.
what's up here.
You better pump her full of antibiotics and IVs because we're going to court. Yeah.
Right? Paula says the jurors are going to be like, oh, yeah, well, I see what the problem is here.
Hmm.
They are. They are. Right? Do we know when kids are sick versus sick of school? Right. I mean, her symptoms were easy ones to fake. And
Yeah.
if there was no evidence of throwing up,
Hmm.
you don't know. I still stand by, if she was seriously puking, she'd have been puking in that courtroom
Hmm.
or in their van or somewhere. There would have been
Hmm.
evidence of that.
I was thinking
So,
too, though, about if she was truly sick, not just her, but anybody. Can you imagine being in jail or in prison and being sick like that? Just needing to be able to take care of yourself and you can't. You're just at the mercy of whoever. It's another
no,
good reason
just,
not to be doing the crime. And
yeah, it
yeah,
is. It's a great reason. She
yeah.
wants everybody to think she's so picked on. Dude,
Totally.
You murdered 4 people at minimum. Poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, stick her with a saline bag. That's what I was thinking. They'll probably pump her up with saline and, you know, Tylenol or whatever and send her ass to court. All righty. Well, we'll let you know. We'll keep you updated in the Discord, and then you'll also see our YouTube notifications. Of course, if there is trial to stream tomorrow, we will be streaming that over on our True Crime Squad Trials channel. And then we'll be back here tomorrow night with the update. That's how we do trials, so that YouTube doesn't get mad at us ever again, you know.
That's
so keep an eye.
Yeah.
If you haven't joined our Discord, go do it. truecrimesquad.com. There's a link there to take you to our Discord. That is a great way to keep up on what we are doing and what is going to happen coming up with a trial like this. We'll keep you all updated there. And you know what? You know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.